Well, hello rally friends, and welcome back to the kitchen table. Well, it's been an interesting few days, hasn't it, in the world of rallying. I suppose we've really got to start with the news from Citroen, and the news wasn't good news, was it? You know, we were full of hope, and we're still full of hope, that in 2019 we will see Citroen returning to something like the kind of form that saw them take, 9 titles in a row with Sebastien Loeb. We were looking forward to that. They'd spent the money, they got their man Sébastien Ogier. Esa-Pekka Lappi was confirmed a month or so ago to sit next to Ogier. And it was a reasonable assumption that we would have a 3-car team. Yes, we knew there was always some doubt about the likelihood of a 3-car team. But do you know what? Abu Dhabi Racing, the main sponsor of the Citroen Total World Rally Team, Abu Dhabi Citroen Total World Rally Team. They've been there for 6 or 7 years as title sponsor, and it's been a fairly lean 6 or 7 years. Really, since Sebastien Loeb left, there have been wins, but the wins have been sporadic. Chris Meek took, 5 wins for Citroen. Sebastien Loeb had that glorious win this year as well. But, you know, Citroen have been well supported over that period by Abu Dhabi, and I felt that Abu Dhabi would stay. They turned a corner in terms of the car, they turned a corner in terms of the potential for wins, for championships, and I was almost certain that Abu Dhabi would stay, and the 3rd car was dependent upon Abu Dhabi staying. Turns out they're not staying, they're off. Now, I have absolutely no idea where they are off to, but what I have heard from sources within the Abu Dhabi setup is that it's just a temporary hiatus, if you like. Which to me is even more baffling. You know, they're talking about coming back in 2020, taking 2019 off. I don't get it. There must be some very, very good reasons for that they're not sharing with us yet. But, you know, Citroen are poised on the verge of a glorious return to winning ways in the World Rally Championship. Why would you pull out now after sticking by them through thick and thin for all those years? Why would you take a year off? This could be their biggest year. Why take it off? I don't understand it, but there are clearly reasons for it. It is, I think, a real shame. You know, for many, many reasons. That really is underplaying it, isn't it? It's more than a real shame. It's a disaster in some ways for Citroen. It's certainly a disaster for a number of drivers. Mads Osberg, while he put a statement out saying that he was working very hard to persuade the Citroen management that he should be the 3rd driver in that 3-car team next year, well, all of his hard efforts were for nothing, because clearly there will be no 3rd car. A real tough time for Osberg, because Osberg, for me, would have been the perfect number 3 at Citroen. If Citroen were looking to put a challenge together for the manufacturers next year, you only have to look at Osberg's record, his finishing record, his point scoring records. You have to look at where he's at in terms of his ability right now, driving better than he's ever driven. You know, he's able to take advantage of road position on the Friday on gravel, and then maintain a decent pace through the rest of the weekend to deliver perhaps not wins, but certainly podium potential, and for sure top 4 or 5 potential. Osberg, for me, was in quite a strong position, and that's all gone. That's all gone. Real shame. Craig Breen, another one. You know, never had a full season in the WRC, was perhaps looking at more or less a full season next year. That ain't going to happen with Citroen. Sebastien Loeb, he, after the glories of Spain, was looking to do maybe 6, maybe 7 rounds next year. That's not going to happen either with Citroen, and that is the most astonishing thing. Loeb is a winner, still a winner in the WRC. He joins, in my view, a select elite of drivers who are capable of winning any rally. Clearly, that is Ogier, that is Tanak, that is Latvala, that is Meek, and that is Neuville. So there are 5 right now. I would put Loeb into that category as well and say he's number 6. But he ain't going to be there for Citroen next year winning rallies. Is he going to be in the championship winning rallies next year? Here is the question. I think he will be, because I think he will be a man in demand. A lot of you are saying, well, he's a shoe-in for M Sport. Yep, he could be a shoe-in for M Sport. if Malcolm Wilson is willing to take the risk, to spend more money, more of his own money, on a driver capable of winning. We'll come to that in a bit, but I think it's way more complicated at M Sport. Now, for me, the best place for Sebastien Loeb next year, the people who need Sebastien Loeb next year, and if you buy Motorsport News in the UK, I've written about 1,500 words on this. So I've written as much as I'm going to say, that's for sure. But I think Loeb is needed by Hyundai. I really do. Listen, enormous pressure that you cannot really fathom on the Hyundai management. What have they been in WRC now for? Well, you know, if you include the periods where they were setting up their base in Alzenau and obviously developing the cars, we're talking 5 seasons, aren't we? And they've delivered wins, rally wins. They've delivered a very strong team. They've delivered a couple of very strong products in the World Rally car, in the R5 car. But have they delivered, the Hyundai World Rally team, have they delivered their main objective? Well, I'm going to assume the main objective is to give Hyundai titles, world titles, not just rally wins. And yes, there have been some glorious rally wins. But I imagine, and from what I hear, the Hyundai board are after titles. And my understanding is they were promised titles and they've not been delivered. The pressure on the management at Hyundai is immense to deliver. They came very, very close last year. They came reasonably close the year before. To be honest, 2017 for me was their greatest chance. They had the best team. They had 3 winners in their team. You know, they should have been challenging for they challenged for the drivers. They should have been challenging for the manufacturers in 2017. It was harder last year, and they did challenge for both the drivers and the manufacturers, but they didn't deliver. They lost out to a privateer team from Cumbria in the Drivers' Championship, and they lost out to a 2-year-old team in the Manufacturers' Championship, just increasing the pressure with the amount of money that they've spent. And it could be, and probably is, in excess of 200 million euros that's been spent on that glorious project at Hyundai. They need to deliver next year. And you know what? Next year is going to be tougher than 2018 and way tougher than 2017 was. So, with the same tools in the box, are you going to get a different result from the result you got in 2018 and 2017? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. They've moved the tools around a bit. They've shuffled them around a bit. You know, we saw Hayden Paddon, who towards the end of 2017 was talking about 2018 being his title challenging year. Whoosh! Didn't happen because he was given 7 rounds. Overnight, his motivation, his drive, his determination, his single-minded focus changed from being a title challenger to being a big part player, delivering the points for the team. And you know what? He did that quite well last year. Danny Sordo, well, Danny, I think, is quite happy with his lot. And he, we understand, will do 10 rounds. I believe that Hyundai are looking to rotate their 3, what should we call them? Well, there are 3 drivers other than Neuville. I think Neuville will get a full season, and I think they're going to rotate the other 3. There are 28 places, if you like, 14 rallies, 2 seats on each rally. 28 seats available. What we hear is that Sordo's been promised 10. That leaves 18 between Mikkelsen and Paddon, 9 each. If you're going to do that, if you're going to rotate 3 drivers, why not rotate 4? Why not put Loeb into the mix? Because as I said earlier on, same tools, different outcome, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. It is more than likely that without the support of a top-line driver, Neuville will really struggle, because you can be absolutely certain that at Toyota, Tanak, who's the number 1, will have the support of Latvala, who's in the form of his life. He will probably have the support of Meek, who's capable of doing magic things out there. Neuville is sailing alone in his quest to beat those 3. And then let's not forget, he has to beat, you know, the champ, 6 times champion in the Citroen, with a reinvigorated Lappi next to him, who can win, certainly on a number of events next year. You've got Neuville, poor old Thierry Neuville, banging away on his own, banging away at the others, knocking them away, keeping them behind him, knocking them away. He needs someone else next to him to do that on a number of events next year. He has to be the arrow, just piercing through the opposition. And the wingman has to be the one. Nah, get back, get back. Is that wingman Andreas Mikkelsen? Doesn't look like it. Not right now. He is capable of it though. Is it Danny Sordo? On certain events, yes. Is it Hayden Paddon? Could be. Could be Paddon. You know, he definitely has the potential. Could it be Sebastien Loeb? 100%. 100% it could be Loeb. Loeb has the ability. He has the nous, the experience, the guile, the vast bank of knowledge to support Thierry Neuville next year. To beat, on certain events, Tanak. On other events, Ogier. On other events, Chris Meek. To get himself between Neuville and the other chasing pack. Hyundai cannot ignore that. They cannot ignore the potential that Sebastien Loeb offers them for next year. And as I say, if you're going to rotate 3 drivers, why not rotate 4? Why not say to Danny Sordo, look, really sorry, it's not 10 events, it's 8. Then you've got 20 events to rotate between 3 drivers. Yeah, you can give Paddon 6, you can give 7 to Mikkelsen, and you can give another 6 to Sebastien Loeb. It isn't ideal, I'll give you that much. But I think it's necessary. I think they have to shake things up at Hyundai if they are going to challenge the might of Toyota next year. And for me, the man who can do that is Sebastien Loeb. I will be getting the checkbook out. Now, my understanding, a lot of people saying he's on the same money as Ogier Loeb. My understanding is he's not. He is a long way short. You know, Loeb at his peak was earning an awful lot of money with Citroen and the PSA group. You know, I don't think really it's all about money these days for Sebastien Loeb. He will want to be rewarded, and he will want to be rewarded, very well, I'm sure, for his services and what he brings to the team. But he isn't unaffordable. I would think he's not unaffordable. And with that in mind, if I was Monsieur Nandon, I would have opened negotiations with him already. I think for me it's an absolute no-brainer. You know, Hyundai more than anyone need Sebastien Loeb. And if Loeb is going to do 6 or 7 rallies next year, I think there's a very good chance it'll be with Hyundai. So the other consideration that we have to look at is M Sport and what is going on at M Sport. Do you know what? It's an absolute mystery to me that the best rally team in the world, and you can't argue that they're not the best rally team in the world. Last 2 drivers' titles. The manufacturer's title last year. They're a privateer outfit from Cumbria, up against the might of Toyota, of Citroen, of Hyundai. They continue to hit well above their weight in terms of rallying. It's an absolute mystery, the situation that they find themselves in. Okay, I have spoken at length with, say, Gerard Quinn from Ford of Europe. Now, you know, let's not be too hard on Gerard. A lot of you are a little bit hard on him. Gerard is a very, very big supporter of rallying. He's a rally man through and through. He's a big supporter of M Sport. Ultimately, Gerard does an awful lot, but the big decisions are made by the guys in America, by Ford Performance. And it's the guys in America who are not being persuaded that rallying is the right option for them. I don't get these arguments that say that it's the wrong car, because listen, you know, there are manufacturers investing hundreds of millions in Formula One, which is just, you know, there's no car that you can sell in Formula One. People saying, well, you know, if it was the Focus, then perhaps America would get behind it. No, it's Ford. It is Ford that are excelling in the stages. It is Ford that have won the last 2 drivers' titles. My big gripe is that there's a lack of imagination there within the Ford Performance setup. There's a lack of understanding in terms of what can be done marketing-wise. I used to work in marketing. I know what you spend on advertising budgets. Companies, certainly like the company I worked for, tens of millions on advertising. And I know that you have to have something to advertise. And whether it's you know, the right car or not, it's down to the company, it's down to the manufacturer to take that success and to make something of it. It's a poor and lame argument to say it's the wrong model of car. Ford are excelling and are doing remarkable things in the world of rallying. And if you can't sell that for the money that we understand is being talked about, then you don't want to be looking at your motorsport program. You want to be looking at your marketing department. You really do. You really do. I might be a little bit harsh with that, but that's how I feel it stands with Ford. You know, it is a minuscule amount of money relatively that we're talking about. As I said earlier on, I understand the situation that Ford are in. I understand that they're laying people off. I understand that the market is difficult. And at these times, you have to make clever decisions, clever choices. And for me, getting behind a success story is a clever choice and a clever decision. And I don't get why M Sport are in the situation they're in. It's a crying shame because there is no better company. There's no better rally team in the world than M Sport. There is no better boss in the world than Malcolm Wilson. And you know, Sebastien Ogier has come out and said that, and I completely back Sebastien Ogier in that from what I've seen around the service park. He can't find a sponsor, he can't find a manufacturer to give him enough money to contest on a level playing field with the top manufacturers. It is baffling when you look at their record. So what does that mean for M Sport? Well, I think unfortunately it probably means that they will not be putting their hands in their pockets next year. Sebastien Ogier has gone. Could he be replaced by Loeb? It's a possibility. It is unlikely in my view. Malcolm gave an interview just yesterday to a good friend of mine, to Laurie Cornican up in Scotland. And he said, look, you know, we're not sure what we're doing next year yet. We hope to be in the WRC, but we have to look after the health of the company. Spent a lot of money over the last 2 years to show the world, and in particular Ford, just what they're capable of. You can't sustain that. You really can't. Not if you want to have a healthy company going forward. And Malcolm, I think, is at that point where he needs an investment, be it a sponsor or be it more money from Ford Performance, to maintain that sort of level of delivery from the World Championship. You know, to deliver wins, ultimately to deliver championships, he needs to invest. He needs to invest a bit in the product. He definitely needs to invest in drivers. And the only driver really available right now who can consistently compete for wins is Loeb. I don't think he'll be going to M Sport. I think what we will see, I think we will see M Sport next year. I'm certain we'll see them in the World Rally Championship with World Rally cars. Here's what I think we'll see though. I think we'll see 2 World Rally cars from M Sport. And I think both of those cars will be contributing drivers. One of them, Timo Sunonen, and we understand that Timo Joki is contributing to the cost of running that car for Sunonen. I think the other car will be split. I think it will be split between potentially, say, Gus Greensmith, who we know has said he wants to do 4, maybe 5 rounds next year. That could stretch to 6. Maybe Eric Canley, who I hear is working very, very hard to put a programme together for a World Rally car next year. Maybe he'll share the drive. Or maybe Malcolm might decide on certain rallies that he is willing to pay. And maybe Sebastien Loeb might fit into that setup in the second car. I sadly don't see Malcolm providing a car FOC to a driver next year, free of charge. I don't see Elfyn Evans being given a free ride next year. I don't see Craig Breen being given a free ride. I don't see Hayden Paddon being given a free ride next year at M Sport. I just don't think it's going to happen because I think Malcolm has very clearly shown us what he's having to deal with, and that is the reality of balancing budgets. Unless there are gambles and there are investments, and Ogier was both a gamble and an investment. Right now, you only take gambles when the gamble's available. There's not really a gamble available out there just now, you know. Would you gamble on any one of those 3 drivers I've talked about to deliver you a title? Jeez, be a very, very, very big gamble. Would you gamble on any of those 3 drivers to give you wins next season? Not as big a gamble, but still a fairly big gamble. The only one who might not be so much of a gamble is Loeb. But as I say, my gut feeling is that Hyundai need Loeb more than anyone. We'll wait and see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, folks, for Elfyn Evans, for Craig Breen. I honestly think Hayden Paddon's okay. I think he will stay within the Hyundai setup. But, you know, Paddon and Breen, keeping my fingers crossed for them, and Mads Osberg. Listen, Mads Osberg is the one who we might see doing a bit of a part-time program at M Sport. That's always possible as well. You know, it kind of works against Mads, but what works for him is that he's always able to bring a sponsor with him. In the past, it's been Adapter. Now it's OneBet. So if Mads were to bring budget to, say, M Sport with the sponsorship of OneBet, there's every chance that Mads Osberg might end up in a Fiesta World Rally car next year, albeit potentially a part-time program. We'll have to wait and see. But I really think the other boys are struggling, really struggling, and it's just a sad indication of where we're at. We're losing effectively 2 seats next year, one at Citroen, one at M Sport. We have a returning 9 times champion. We think we've got a returning 9 times champion anyway. It really, really makes it difficult for those drivers who have not yet established themselves as winners. There is potential in Breen. There is potential in Evans. You know, talking about all this, we're forgetting about the others. The likes of, I suppose, you know, our R5 champions, you know, Pontus Tiedemann. Where might they fit in? I don't know. It's a struggle right now for all of those drivers, as it is a struggle for M Sport. But we'll keep our fingers crossed for M Sport. I fully expect to see them next year. In what form they will take in the service park, I'm not sure. So listen, thank you very much. It's been another little rant, a little bit of a discussion. It's never a discussion because it's always me. A talk from the kitchen table for you lovely people. My Oregon Trail Rally mug has returned to the table. My favourite rally, one of my favourites. I've got a few now. And don't forget, if you want your mug at the kitchen table, just get in touch, drop us a wee note. So thank you very much again all for listening this afternoon. Don't forget, Facebook, I say this every time, I'm going to say it again. If you're watching on Facebook, please share my little video. It certainly helps. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. The last video, wow, we actually had more, for the very first time, more views on YouTube than we did on Facebook. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much, and do press subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, again, thank you very much, and do share if you feel it's worth sharing. Thanks very much, guys. Listen, it's Tuesday, Motorsport News comes out on a Wednesday. You can read my piece on the Hyundai situation in Motorsport News, but there's every chance that that fabulous journalist David Evans might be holding something up his sleeve. There may be some news to come this week. If there is any more news and it's worthy of a return to the kitchen table, I'll see you all later on in the week. If not, probably next week. Thanks for joining me once again from the kitchen table.